Hello. So in this video, we are going to continue with the balloon pop tutorial. So we have these different balloons showing up, and notice how in the function setup, I did set this back to say I is less than 40. So we only have 40 of these balloons floating around here. So the next thing I want to do is work with collision detection to see if when we click the mouse that we actually clicked on one of the balloons. So what I'm going to do then is to make a function. I'll do it here. Right, so now it's all by itself after the closing curly brace, but before this other function here. And I'm going to call this function mouse versus balloon, parentheses, B, and then curly braces. Okay, so it's balloon singular, so I need to take in a variable of some kind, a parameter, that tells me which balloon it is. And there's going to be some other function that figures out, okay, well, there's 40 of them, so let me look at one each time. At this part in the code, I'm just given one balloon. So I'm just going to work with that balloon here. So sometimes the user has clicked inside of that balloon and sometimes they have not. So do an if statement. All right, and we want to know if the distance between the center of the balloon and the mouse is small enough that it actually is inside of that balloon there. So I'm going to use the dist function then to figure out what the distance is between the center of the balloon and the mouse. So I give it an x1, y1, x2, y2. So it's going to be b dot x, comma, b dot y, comma, and then I'm going to say mouse x, comma, mouse y. I see how those kind of light up in a different color. Those are just special in P5. That's not something inherent to JavaScript itself. It's this P5 library that we're using. But this here will return the distance between those 2 points. You know, those 4 different components make up the first point and then the second point. So as long as they are smaller than something, then that is a collision between the mouse and the balloon. All right, so I did not actually give them a width property. I just have this number 30 here. So what I'm going to do is create that property. So right here, I'm going to pretend like balloon has a size property. And then I'm going to actually make that the case. So I'm going to modify create balloon here to where it gives it an X and a Y and a color. But I'm also going to say new balloon dot size equals 30. I'll use that same size there. And then just to kind of be consistent with it, in the draw balloon function here, I'm going to, instead of saying the number 30, I'm going to say b dot size. All right, so now that that property actually exists in the balloon, then this if statement should work. All right, now what should happen at that point when I clicked on one of them? So at this point, there's nothing that I can really use to tell which one it is. I'm going to do this, though. I'm going to say console.log. I'm going to do b.x just so I can at least see some piece of information about the balloon. So what should happen then is once this is all set up, it will only do a console.log when I've clicked in a balloon. And then hopefully it tells me the correct X of the one balloon that I clicked on. But remember, this is function mouse versus balloon. I have 40 different balloons, so somehow I need to go through that whole list and check for each one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that inside the function mouse clicked. I want to click on it and then let go. So I want that to be the function here. Right, so this will run whenever the player has actually clicked the mouse. And in that moment, I want to loop through all of the balloons to see if which one of them possibly was clicked on, or even if none of them were. So I'm going to do another for loop. Let I equal 0, semicolon, I less than balloons dot length, so that it's however long that array actually is, semicolon, I plus plus. Close the parenthesis, open and close curly braces. Right, so very similar to what we had above. I mean, really the same thing. All right, so what is the thing that I want to happen over and over again, 40 different times for each balloon? Well, I want to call the function mouse versus balloon. And then just like down here, that B is inside the parentheses, so I need to put something in here inside the parentheses. And that is going to be balloons, square brackets, I. Balloons has all of the balloons in it. And then the square brackets is how I specify which one it is. So I'd use an index number like 0 or 1 or 2. But the for loop gives me a variable that does exactly that. It goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, all the way up to 39. So that's why I have the I here, so that it can reference each different balloon. And it's inside a for loop. So this same command, hope it happens over and over again, checking to see if it clicked on balloon index 0, balloon index 1, balloon index 2. And that way, by the end of it all, it will have checked everything. So we can test this to see. Now, if I click in the gray space, I don't have any console logs, so that's good. And then if I click inside of a red balloon, then I'm getting console.log. And if I just try to pay attention a little bit more, if I click one way over here, I get a very big X number. If I click one over here, it's a little hard to see, but I get a small number. It's like 6 point something. So it does seem that I'm able to accurately identify which balloon it is. So the next thing we're going to do is get that to change the way that the page actually looks, to get them to pop.